the journey of buying a house. So if you are interested in knowing what it takes to become a homeowner in the United States of America, load up that chat box, guys. We're going to answer every single one of your questions, thoughts, concerns about buying a house. So most popular questions: what down payment? What FICO score do I need? What if I have collections? What if I have student loans? I want to buy a second house. What's the down payment? What do I need to buy a house? How do I start? Who do I talk to? All those questions that enter your mind on a regular basis because you want to own a piece of America. Put it in the chat box right here, and we are going to answer your questions and hopefully entertain you a little bit too. We don't want to be those boring guys on TikTok that are like, well, 3.5%, 580, FICO score. We don't want to be that. We want to give you guys a good experience so you can work with someone that's just like you. So, load up that chat box. What do you got for us, Finance Man?
The interest rates. Well, Fed has spoken, and it's not good. It's not good. I mean, not good. Yeah, no matter how you slice it, it's not good. We believe that we're going to back into a recession in about 6 months, but they won't be able to call it till it's done. In the meantime, the Fed has revised its notes and says one reduction in 2024. One reduction in 2024.
Now the Fed said that?
Yeah. I didn't hear it. I listened to the speech again, but I've heard it from enough sources so that I'm going to say that's what they said.
I agree with that. What I don't understand is how do they come up with that? And where do they get it from based on what the Fed actually puts out?
Well, I look at the Fed notes and then I look at the speech, but there's some deeper ways to look at it. You can go into like everything every single member said. And it's all public information. You can see it. It's not like hidden. It's out there. However, you have to have the time to read it and you have to know what you're reading for. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't know what you're reading for, you're just reading notes that will put you to sleep. I mean, this shit is boring.
Yeah.
So what that means is that the mortgage industry is in for like a shit show for another 6 to 9 months. Easy 6 to 9 months. Because one interest rate reduction will not change the market. 3 will. But 6 to 9 months of what we have, maybe worse for a while. Maybe worse.
What does that mean? What do you mean maybe worse?
So, because the uncertainty has been removed from the market, the rates have already gone down. Like if you go to, you'll see 5.875. And the difference, if they dropped a quarter point, won't make the stock market rally because the stock market's already at all-time highs, which means we've artificially calculated in a lot of the rate changes, and we have already materialized it into the rates. I need help, somebody says. Foul Mouth Creations. Should I sell my house now or in a year? Foul Mouth Creations. What is the motivating factor? We always look at motivating factor of why. Because if you're trying to time the market, don't do that. It doesn't work in stocks. It doesn't work in housing. It doesn't work in almost anything. Don't try and time the market. So if it's time for you to sell because you're moving to another state, then you got to make your move. If you're getting another job, then you got to make your move. And if there's a choice between selling or renting, that's a mathematical problem. Because if we can rent it out for what you are already paying, we might actually be able to make it a net positive. However, if you try and time the market, it rarely works out. It's like going to Vegas. Most of the time you're going to lose. Occasionally you'll win. But most of the time you're going to lose. We're building, but trying to figure out timing. So you're trying to sell a house and build the new house. Okay, so that makes sense. Are you using the one-time construct? Because I'll walk you through the one-time construct and I'll tell you what it is. It's a pretty interesting project, but it's not really a business venture. Okay, good. One-time construct. Perfect. So it's a good project. It's a really good project. But as for a business venture, probably not. And here's why. Because if you go one-time construct, you have to find all the pieces, which is very difficult in and of itself. All the pieces are not just a general contractor. It is the land that can be built on, the land that can be built on with all of the pieces that need to be built, like for instance, electricity, water, sewage, all of the stuff that you need in order to have a permitted house. Then permits. So that's a big, all those issues have to come together. Can they? Sure they can. If you've got the time and the perseverance. I think that's the right word. Perseverance. Because it's difficult. It's not easy. It's not easy. I'm building an ADU right now, and I keep running into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And like right now I'm at grading, and who knew you have to go price out grading people, and there's different versions of grading that the city will accept, and you have to learn this stuff. If you have a general contractor that knows it, maybe, but you're at the mercy of your general contractor. Maybe. One-time construct is a very cool thought. It's a very cool concept. I love it. I might actually use it, but I won't do it till I'm actually living in a house that I can sustain myself, and I'm willing to give that, because a year to a year and a half, maybe 2 years. I know people will say it gets done in 6 months. I haven't seen it, and I've actually built a house from scratch, and I thought I can do it in 4 months. It took me a year and 2 months. So, and that's with me. I had the cash. I was able to build everything, but I kept running into permit problems. This didn't pass. This has to be redone. Oh my God, weather hits. All of these things happen, and when they happen, then you have to be able to plan for that. Now, inside of the one-time construct, there are carry cost provisions. So it is a good project. It's a good project. But if you're trying to time your house on your one-time construct, that's a tough stuff.
So why time it? What are you trying to time? Are you trying to buy at the absolute lowest, cheapest, best, in the human lifetime? I mean, it seems a little strange. If you're investing and you're trying to figure an exit strategy, trying to figure out what's the most amount of money I can take out of this thing, well, I'm going to flip it in 6 months. I'm going to flip it in a year. The one-time construct is not it. And the main reason is because the one-time construct is made for primary residence, which means I'm going to build this. I'm going to move in. I'm going to live there. I'm going to raise my kids there. I'm going to have my grandchildren visit me here. I'm going to make this what I want because the cookie-cutter homes don't fit my need. And if that's the case, you're going to live there for years. And history says that real estate's going to do this. Whether there's downturns, upturns, upturns. So by the time you're a grandparent ready to die and give the house to someone else, there's going to be a ton of equity in it, regardless of what the market does. So just a little curious on that, Foul Mouth Creations, because it's a little interesting perspective that you have on it. So give us a little clarity. Yeah. What are you thinking?
Income of me and my husband, $180K a year, but we finished a chapter 13. If you did a chapter 13 is a reorganization. That's a bankruptcy for anybody who doesn't know. And a reorganization is very simple. I'm not walking away from my debts. I just want the court to make it so that I can live within my means. And as long as you make the payments on time, after a certain amount of payment, I can actually finance you while you're in a chapter 13 because you didn't walk away from everything. Now, if you have a chapter 7, that means you walked away. That means I just give up. I'm not going to do this. The system wants you to regain yourself. They want you to reapprove that you are somebody that's worthy of getting debt, because chapter 7 is walk away, screw it, let the system take it. I'm keeping my wave runners, but I want you guys to pay for it, the taxpayers of the world. And the system exists that way. So if you're chapter 13, I can actually finance you while you're in bankruptcy. So it's a very big distinction. There's a lot of logic in lending. There's a lot of logic. Some things are a little Wild West, but most of it's very, very logical.
Dorian Traveru, whatever that says. How much down payment do I need for a second property?
Dorian Travu, very good question. So if you have a true definition of a second property, what is that? That means I live here, and I'm buying another house in Aspen, Colorado because I go skiing 3 times a year or 10 times a year or whatever. That's a second property. So if you have that property and you're going to go to your other property occasionally, well, that's a second property. And a second property is 10% down. 10% down, and you must have reserves for the second property and your primary residence. However, if you have a house and you go, hey, you know what? I'm keeping this, but I'm going to rent it out. And it's now a rental property. Now I'm going to buy myself another house. Technically, it's my second house. But by guidelines, it's your primary residence. Because it's your primary residence, whole different set of guidelines. If you have the ability to do FHA, you can still get away with 3.5% down. 3.5% down if you have the ability to do FHA. If your other house is FHA, you may not, but maybe you do. There's some rules, 100-mile guidelines, certain things. But if let's just say that your other one is just traditional Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, and you've been in there for 5 years, and then all of a sudden you're going to rent it out, and it's now a rental property, and I'm buying my second property, you may be able to go FHA 3.5% down.
Yeah, Doran, these questions of second property a little confusing. We can explain it here, or we can have a conversation. So our phone number's in the bio. Our link is in the bio. You can select apply for a home loan now if you want to just start the process, and call us if you have any questions. Braden Thomas, can DSCR work for buying land to build a private campsite?
Braden, I think you're gaming us. I think that's not a real question. So let's just say DSCR is not going to work for building anything. DSCR is a very simple, logical loan. Very logical. Hey, after I put 20% down, 20% down, yep, 20, there's an occasional 15, but most people don't qualify for that. 20% down, after I put 20% down, can I get 125% of what the mortgage costs? No, not just the mortgage, the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, because you may not have put the taxes and insurance in there. But can I get 125% in the rental market of what PITI cost me? If I can, it fits for DSCR loan. Oh, by the way, you got to have a good credit score. So can you build something with DSCR? No, don't get out of here. You don't know what's going to command. You don't know if it's going to happen. So cute question, Braden, but the answer is real simple. No.
April Jones, thank you for the love.
Appreciate you, April Jones. Thank you for sharing that live.
Foulmouth Creations, yes, exactly. I just want to save the most by guessing timing of rates.
Well, I'll give it. You don't have to guess the time of rates. It's very so. Here's real simple. So let's just say the economy's a big fat person who doesn't eat right, and it's all greasy and ugly and gross, and it wants to get in shape. And you sit down with a bunch of personal trainers, let's say a dozen personal trainers, and they all come up with this exact plan. And the exact plan says, hey, you big, fat, greasy, overweight economy, you are going to be in shape in 2.5 to 3 years. And during that time, it's going to look like you're in shape, and it's going to look like you didn't lose any weight, and it's going to look like you're in shape, and it's going to be 2.5 to 3 years. And at that time, as long as you do what we prescribe, you will be in great shape. But it's not going to be linear. It's going to be very all over the place. Well, how do I say that? I say that because the Federal Reserve, who are the people that set the economy, they basically run the economy. Right now, there are 12 members on the Fed board. And there are 12 members, all 12 members are in consensus at 5.25 and 5.5% Fed funds rate. And then the next time they make a move, they're all across the board. Some say it should be higher, some say it should be lower. Then the next time they make a move, higher, lower. Then next time, higher, lower. And then they start to come to a consensus again at the end of 26 and 27. This is like your 12 personal trainers. Your 12 personal trainers said, hey, you're probably going to lose some money, you're going to lose some weight, then you're going to get some more weight, you're going to put it back. And if you keep looking at the scale, you're toast. Here's what you need to know. Stay the course. In 2.5 to 3 years, we'll be in a good spot. Now, that means rates will go down in 2.5 to 3 years. Now, the inverse is true because here is the building prospects, okay? This is the existing housing units relative to demand. Relative to demand, yeah. So, the blue line is perfect. That means we have enough houses for the amount of demand. That's what that means. This starts in 1990. So in the 90s, we built a lot, and we actually had more houses than we had demand. But then 2008 happened. Then we had more houses than we had demand, and then we had the big crash. Right now, we are way below the line. Way below the line. The builders can't keep up. They cannot keep up. Okay, what does that mean? That means as soon as interest rates go down and people can afford houses, there's more demand than there are houses, which means housing prices are going to skyrocket. Skyrocket. Is that an exact? No. I don't know. I read the data. I read the data from very reliable sources, and then I don't trust those sources. I back up and check their sources, and I check more sources. What does that mean? That means in about 2.5 years, interest rates are going to go down. Housing prices are going to go up dramatically. Dramatically is my guess. Dramatically. In the meantime, because we're still in a deficit, it's going to keep housing prices from going down. They're going to stay stagnant. In fact, the National Association of Realtors says all across the nation, year over year, we have a 6.5% increase in housing prices, even though rates were in the 8s. 6.5%. Now, if you listen to the doom and gloom people, that means, oh, housing crash is going to happen. Housing crash. Housing crash is cute, but market beats those cute little naysayers, and there's not enough houses for us to have a housing crash. So, that's the big picture.
Foulmouth Creations, very complicated situation. I will text the number on the board.
Appreciate you. We are here for you.
Tristan, attending now with salary of $670,000, but still have $333,000 in debt from school, looking $300,000 home loan.
So you're an attending physician. We deal with a lot of physicians. $670,000 income sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. To most people in the world are like, yeah, that's amazing. And then you go, yeah, I got $7,000 a month in student loan debt. What? Yeah, that eats up a lot of that money, but it doesn't eat up all of it. So if I went to your $333,000 in debt, I would say that your monthly payment is going to be roughly $3,000, $4,000. Let's take it all the way up to $6,000. $6,000 a month. $6,000 a month times 12 months. 72,000. Double that. 144,000. Drop 144,000 from 670,000, and I'm left with about $400,000 income. $400,000 income will get me from 1.5 to 2.5 million dollar house, as long as you have decent credit. As long as you have decent credit. Can we do it? All day, every day. Attending physicians are in a very unique situation because they're buried in debt, but they got boatloads of income. And we have what's called cash flow. Cash flow is good as long as it's flowing both ways. If it's only debt and you're only paying out, you got problems. But in your situation, you make way more than your liabilities. This is a good spot, and we can make it work for you. So just give us a call. We'll help you out.
Commercial still 20%.
We don't do commercial loans. So I don't know what you mean by commercial still 20%. If you're talking about investment property, yes. Any type of investment property is going to be 20%. If you're dealing with commercial loans, you're on the wrong TikTok channel. We help people get houses and invest in houses as a person, not as a corporation. If you're investing as a corporation, that's a corporate loan. That's a different TikTok channel. You need to go find that one. Tony says, what's up, guys? What's up, Tony?
Elias, $244,000 is what I got my house for in 18 with 3% down and 2.69% rate.
Elias Vargas. That's a great rate.
In 18 though?
That's a great rate.
I don't know if that was a thing.
Well, 3% down tells me that by today's guidelines, you would be home ready, home possible, because 3% doesn't exist in FHA, and it hasn't. It's always been 3.5%. So if you did 3%, that tells me you're Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. And if you're at 2.69, that tells me that you bought down the rate a lot, but it was a very smart move. Very, very smart move.
Maria, good morning. That means you're in California probably. Somewhere on the West Coast, huh?
Yeah, in Cali. See, in Cali.
Elias.
Oh.
I'm talking about Marla.
Oh.
What is the interest rate right now?
Well, if you went to our New Market Funding website, you would see 5.875. It hasn't been 5.875 for about 3 months because the market panicked for a while. But it's back down to 5.875. Don't believe me? Go to the top where it says links. Go to cool stuff, today's rates, and you will find today's rates. Here's the catch though. Behind that 5.875 rate, you're going to see FHA has a 7.091 APR. What does that mean? That means that they're lying to you and telling you the truth in the exact same sentence. What? Yeah, because the law states that if it costs you something to get to that interest rate, you must disclose it through the APR. So anybody who understands finance will look at 5.875 and they'll go, cool, what's the APR? Now, if the APR was like 5.9, I'd be like, yeah, that's a great deal. That's amazing, no matter where you're at. But if I look at 5.875 and I look at an APR of 7.091, I'm like, wait a minute. That's such a big spread. There's some shit hidden in there. And there's a buy down inside of it. Yeah, there's a buy down. Bear in mind that finance people can lie to you and tell you the truth in the exact same sentence. You need somebody who has good ethics, who can actually help you.
Tony, I have an investment property. I want to pull out equity, but I have no W-2 at the time. Can I still, I'm going to assume, finish that sentence, do a cash out refinance? I think that's what you're saying, Tony. I tried to look below, couldn't find anything that you had said further than that. So is that what it is, Tony? Can you still refinance? Can you still take cash out? Let us know. Tony Bows, always coming,
What's
has
up,
our
Tony
back,
Bows?
always tells people what they need to do to help us. Guys, we need those hearts. Tony says we need those hearts. Tap, tap, tap. So what that means is every time we're answering one of your questions, you need to do this.
And we're actually
All
both
the way
working the
through.
Tony file, huh? We're both, you and I have both.
Don't put that on me.
Ah,
Don't
yeah.
you dare put that on me. But yes, we take care of all of our clients.
Good deal.
Ashley, hi. One of my jobs, I have W-2 and second job. Now, W-2, no W-2, can I still buy $98,000 income?
One of my jobs, I have a W-2. The send job, or second job. No W-2. I don't know. How much money do you make on your first W-2? Because your second don't, well, is your second job a 1099? If it's a 1099 and you've been doing it for 2 years and you've been doing it concurrent with your W-2, might be able to use both. But if it's just under the table, trust me, bro, I make money. No, none of that trust me, bro work. It never works. It cannot work. There's no way. I don't care how solid and good guy you are. We need to report everything to the IRS that we're going to use for income.
Yeah. User 4154. Price is still up now, depending on location.
Yes.
I got to put that one together. Is that what you said?
Well, user 415. I'm watching about a dozen different markets. One of the markets I'm watching is Austin, Texas, for my own reasons, because I have a house in Austin, Texas. And Austin is actually down. It's down. Now, when I look at that, I'm like, okay, cool. Austin's down. But everywhere else is up. Now, what the National Association of Realtors do is they take all of them and they go, okay, this one's up really high, this one's down, this one's up, this one is down. So I'm watching about a dozen different markets. Some of them in Florida. Some of them in Florida are up a lot. There's a few that are down. So they take all of that into account and they say real estate is up 6.5% year over year, all things included. All things included. That doesn't mean that all markets are up. Some markets are up ridiculously high. And some of them are ridiculously down. Like, for instance, San Francisco, ridiculously low down. Like, a lot. But to get a house in San Francisco, you need $1.5 million for a decent house, for any house almost. So if it's down to $1.4 million, for the most of the world, it doesn't count, doesn't care. Nobody cares because you're not in that category. If you are, you live in Silicon Valley or you work in politics or something and you're buying in San Francisco. So to you, that's a whole different market, but it's down a lot. Most places, like good old-fashioned anywhere but Austin, if good old-fashioned Texas is up almost everywhere across the board, flat or up just a little bit. So you have to take into consideration that whole situation.
Cliff Hall, just sold my house to use equity to start buying rental property.
All right. Good job, Cliff. Let us know how it goes.
Caroline Bree or Brill? I'd rather pay 7% interest on a mortgage than 100% in rent. Finally,
Caroline
smart.
Brill. Here's the only reason that you would do that. There's only one reason that you would do that. Because you're smart. Yes, because you're smart. And so there's some guys out there that will actually come out and say, hey, this is a bad move. And I actually can get on board with it just a little bit, which is buy a house when you don't want to, or buy a house when you it's going to tie you down. And there's a guy named Dave Ramsey out there who says your house is a detriment. And I look at it, and I try not to look at it through just one set of eyes. I try to look at it through his eyes. And from one angle, if you are a young entrepreneur that's ready to move and do things, your house is a detriment because it ties you down. But if you're willing to go, hey, I'll move away from that and I'll rent it, and I can rent it for what I got it for, and I'll go chase the rainbows anywhere I need to go, then your house isn't a detriment. So that's the only time I would say that's a bad move, is that if you're an entrepreneur ready to go out there and move, because a house will tie you down. Once you're in that house, you're kind of there, you're stuck, unless you have that mind that says I can rent it and go somewhere else. If you don't, it is a bit of a detriment. But for most people who are living in the city they want to live in, living in the situation that they want to live in, that house is an asset, and it's better to make the move of buying the house, because let's just say you're paying $3,000 a month. Okay, a lot of people are paying $3,000 a month for rent. A lot of people. $3,000 a month times 12 months is $36,000 a year. If you've been doing it for 3 years, you've paid a landlord $100,000 that you will never get back. Never, 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 never. Now, if you had bought a house, that $100,000 would have gone to multiple things. It won't be dollar for dollar you paid $100,000 down. It will be some principal reduction. It will be some equity appreciation. It will be many tax write-offs. There's a lot of assets and attributes to buying a house. So I think you do that because you're smart.
Marvin has 2 paid off homes, but getting my money out of these homes has been tough. I want to buy more. Yep, it's tough, man. It's tough. Here's the problem, guys. Here's the problem that most people run into is you may have a good asset, which is your home. You may be Marvin and have a couple of homes that are beautiful assets, which means you have so much money tied up in real estate. But getting to that money is very difficult if you don't have income. Because what you're going to do is say, hey, bank, I want to borrow some money, but I don't know how to pay you back. Or you might have bad credit, which means, hey, bank, I want to borrow some money, but the history of me borrowing money and paying it back is not good. So if you have those 2 challenges, it's very difficult to get money.
Do you see how logical that is? That is so logical.
But if you don't have those challenges, it's easy to get money, Marvin. Mm-hmm. It's really easy. Mm-hmm. Maybe you're not in those scenarios. Maybe you do have a good job. Maybe you do have good credit. You're just not going to the right spot to access the money. So if you want someone who thinks like you need to reach out to us. We'll help you. It's easy.
Give us a call.
It's easy. User 4154. My parents paid 12 to 18%. 6% isn't bad. We're just spoiled.
You're correct. Well, user 4154. That's super wise and super smart. But I'm gonna give you the other angle of it. That you're talking about in the 80s. In 1987, interest rate hit an all-time high at about 21% for a little while, but they hovered at 18. So you'll hear a lot of people say 18. You'll hear occasional people say 21, but it hovered for 18 for a while. However, the percentage of income versus percentage of mortgage payment, even at 18%, was lower then than it is at 8% today, which means it's almost impossible for most of the millennials to buy a house. What do you call them? Gen Xers, Gen Z, millennials, young people. Because you know what? You know how much to buy a $400,000 house? $400,000 house. How much money do you need to make?
$100 grand.
$100 grand. So $100 grand. That's real simple numbers. $400,000 house, $100 grand. $100 grand. $400,000 house. Well, first off, if you go to the mall and you talk to all the people, what percentage do you think make $100 grand? I'm going to say 10%, maybe less. Yeah, 10%, which means 90% of those people cannot buy a house, not a $400,000 house. Now, if you happen to live in Los Angeles, $400,000 will not get you a house. You cannot find a house. In New York, it will not get you a house. Miami, Chicago, it will not get you a house. Seattle will not get you a house. Dallas, not going to get you a house. Inside of Houston proper, no way. Outside, yes. So these are very, very real numbers. And you're right, we are somewhat spoiled, but when I look at the numbers on the big scale, it's more expensive now. And it's the rates, because people buy off of 2 things, how much down and how much a month. And that's it. And how much down, that like freaks people out, but we can. That's the easiest one to get over. We can do that through down payment assistance. Your brother can give you money. Your mom, cousin, uncle. A lot of people can give you money in order to get a house. So down payment can be overcome. What we can overcome is income. Because if you say, hey, listen, I make a $60,000 income and I want to buy a house in the Inland Empire, I don't have to do the rest of the file. I already know the answer. $60,000 income in the Inland Empire, you're not getting a house. Because the lowest house you'll find in the Inland Empire, 380. 380. You might find a condo for 270, 280. But that condo association fee is going to take you up to 380. And if you make $60,000 a year, you don't qualify for 380. You just don't. That's horrible. But it's the reality of where we're at.
User 4154, during the 2016 debates, Hillary Clinton was going up against T-Money, and she was saying, he uses the IRS legal system to save the most in taxes. And he said, that's because I'm smart.
Yes.
And I think you're smart, 4154, and that spoiled statement is dead on.
It is. A lot of people are spoiled. They're not willing to work. People are, and it's not just the work. Some people are willing to work. The economy and the system isn't paying them enough so that you can buy houses.
Mm-hmm. Marvin, for more rentals. Yeah, same statement, man.
Yeah.
Give us a call. Let's see if we can make it work for you.
As for eyebrows threading?
Eyebrow threading, yeah.
House prices is going to go down this year? No, they're not. There's a few areas where it might go down a little bit. Like I said, one of them I'm watching is Austin, Texas. And I do watch. I have a dozen houses that I'm watching. And I'm like, oh, that one went down like $4,000. Maybe $10,000. Maybe it goes down a little bit. But is it going to be enough to really move the needle? No, it's not going to be enough to move the needle. So house prices are not going down because they're not being built fast enough. There's just not enough houses for the amount of people that want to buy houses. Not enough.
Hawaii, yes. All 50 states, guys. Someone just said, do you do Hawaii? We do every single state in the union, guys. Even the states that aren't connected to the mainland. So, yes, Hawaii all day long. Every other state as well. Top tier bullets. I love that name. I don't know what that means. If there's a range of top tier bullets we need to meet, and I need to understand why. But that being said...
Bullies.
Oh, I like bullets better.
Okay.
Anyway, you're going to love the answer to this question. Yeah. Does pension count as income to the bank?
Does it? Does it?
I'm afraid so.
I'm afraid so, but you know what?
I'm afraid so.
Even more than that.
Even more.
You just got to raise 25% most loans. 20. Wow, we got fireworks. So you got to raise 25% most loans. Most pensions I can gross up. What? Yeah, I can gross up because most pensions not taxable. Most pensions. So
bullies, dogs, bulldogs.
Yes.
Top tier bulldogs.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, top pensions do count. We like to count them, and we even get to gross them up most of the time. Not every time, but most of the time.
Nice. You like that answer, top tier bullies? You better call us. Sanders, Marvin, user 7364 and 6996, whatever that is. Thank you for the love. Andy the Goat. We've been waiting for you. Why should I work with you instead of Veterans United?
Andy the Goat. Love you, Andy the Goat.
Even the questions that are serious are funny.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so Veterans United is a bank. There is no question about it. They're a bank. They try and do VA loans. There's no doubt about it. They try and do VA loans. I'm not going to speak to their guidelines because I don't know what their guidelines are. But I do know a client that came to me from Veterans United said, they're saying I need a minimum FICO score of X. One of them said 620, one of them said 580. And they said, Lee, is that true? And I said, not even close to true. Now, I didn't go find out if Veterans United, I don't care. But I do know that if you're VA Direct, there is no FICO score requirement in the guidelines. If you're VA Direct. If you're not VA Direct, then there are overlays, and part of the overlays are FICO requirements. So, I'd highly recommend, Andy the Goat, you work with somebody who actually knows what they're doing.
Holy cow, man. Top tier bullies is over here on TikTok and over here on Instagram.
No way! How do you do both?
I have no idea. How are you doing both?
Top tier. You know what? You're my new, we're going to study underneath you like a Jedi. We're going to be like, we're your Padawan. How do you go and watch two screens at once? I don't know.
Yeah. So there you go. Andy the Goat. Angel Waters, can I get a second home with new American funding with no down payment?
Angel.
Tricky question.
That's a very tricky question. I'm going to give you two different answers, and one of them you're going to like and one of them you're not. Okay, here's the one that you are going to like. Maybe. Here's the one that you're not going to like. No. Okay, so let me explain those. If you have a real second home, meaning I have a primary residence, but sometimes I go to Aspen, Colorado, or, I don't know, Lake Havasu, Arizona. And I go there so much that I want to have another house. A lot of people in California have another house in Lake Havasu, Arizona, because you can get a house in Lake Havasu for 180 grand. So a lot of people have another house in Lake Havasu, Arizona. So like, hey, yeah, I'm not going to rent it out all the time. I might occasionally rent it out, but it's my second home. I'm going to go there because I go to the river all the time. All right, cool. Well, in that case, that's a true second home because I have my primary residence in California and my second house is in Lake Havasu, Arizona, and I go there all the time in the summer because I like boating. All right, cool. 10% down. 10% down, and I can get a second house. Now, let's say you want to go, hey, I am not getting a second house in Lake Havasu, Arizona. I'm tired of California. F California. I'm out of here. I don't want to do this anymore, but I don't want to sell that house. So what I do want to do is I want to rent out that house that has a Fannie Mae loan on it. And it's going to more than make up for the rent because my mortgage payment is $2,000. I can rent it for $3,000. I'm going to actually make a positive on that. All right, good deal. But I'm going to go get me a new primary residence in Lake Havasu, Arizona. Can I get you a zero down program? Maybe. A lot of the programs require that you have not owned a home in the past, but there are one or two that they don't care. You're able to move forward, and in that case, you use a down payment assistance program. Can it happen? Maybe. 3.5% all day long. Zero down? Maybe.
Tony bows, I get the best of both of you.
Tony Bow's in the house.
Is
Great
that
to see
a love
you.
song from the 80s?
I don't know.
I get the best of both of you. Hall & Oates.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Jimmy Guzman. Can I still get a home if I might co-sign for a home I don't live in?
Maybe, Jimmy. Maybe.
Good question.
First question is, do you want one? Jimmy, be honest. Do you want another house? Okay, let's just say that you said yes. And yes, I want another house. And I co-signed for my brother. All right, cool. Did your brother make the last 12 payments out of his account on time? Can you prove it? So you call up your brother. Hey, dear brother of mine, remember I co-signed for you 2 years ago? And you said, don't worry, bro. Like in both senses, bro, because you're my real brother, and bro, because you're helping me out.
It's bruh.
Bruh. All right. No, bruh is when you're talking to your mom. So,
True.
Bro. So you're like, bro, remember when I co-signed for you and you said you were going to make it on time? Yeah, okay, cool. I need you to prove it because I want to go get my own loan. So your bro, is going to send you his last 12 bank statements and it's going to show on time payment. And I'm going to go, cool. As of the guideline, because you were a non-occupant co-borrower, very important, because you were a non-occupant co-borrower, and your bro's been paying the payments for the last 12, I can ignore it. But it's some paperwork. I do have to prove it. Once I prove it, I get rid of that entirely, and I can get you an FHA, I can get you a VA, I can get you a Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, USDA. In some cases, most cases, first-time homebuyer program, Home Ready, Home Possible, which is Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or one of the other programs like Platinum, Shanoa, Shadap, whole bunch of programs out there, a NAF proprietary program. All of those are available to you as long as you have a good loan officer who will help you.
I know I just said that we're licensed in all 50 states. Mm-hmm. Even those that aren't connected to the mainland.
Yep.
Every single state in the union, I think I said those words too.
Yeah.
But are we licensed in Texas?
Texas all day, every day. Shit, Texas is my favorite.
Why?
Because the tax base goes across the board and you never know what the hell you're going to get. You're like throwing the dice on any house you go into escrow in. I went into escrow on one with 2.875 tax base. 2.875. Changed all the numbers. But here's the key: with any loan officer, it's going to change the numbers because it's the market that you're in. So if I'm in another escrow in El Paso, Texas, 1.9. What? 1.9? Yeah, crazy.
Nice. Shelby, thank you for the rose. Dysfunctional Mama, thank you for the love. Misery de Bundy, top tier bullies. Acrobato, Ray, thank you all for the love. Dysfunctional Mama, bad, no credit, wanting to buy a house in Pennsylvania.
Okay, bad or no credit. Dysfunctional Mama. I got
That's appropriate.
bad or no credit news for you. Here's what it is. You either have bad credit or you have no credit. If you have no credit, that's actually better for you because no credit is we pull your credit and it says NA. None means you've never had any, nobody's ever trust you. No. Hey, goodbye. So if you have bad credit, you're screwed. Just screwed. Because you're like, hey, Mr. Credit Card, MasterCard, hey, I'd like to borrow $10,000. Trust me, bro, I'll pay you. I'm not going to pay you. Screw that shit. Hey, Ford Motor Corporation, I'd like to borrow $12,000 for that car. Don't worry, trust me, bro, I'll pay you. Nah, I'm not paying you. You're screwed. Hey, New American Funding Bank or Wells Fargo Bank, I'd like to borrow $500,000. They're like, you screwed everybody else. We're not about to lend you money. It's just logic. It's just math. And if you have bad credit, I got bad news for you. Ain't happening.
I would say that too. But we can help you. So if you do have no credit or bad credit, let us take a look at it. Let us guide you down the path. Maybe we can still get you into a home.
Yep.
Bruce G, is a HELOC a good idea?
It depends. HELOC is math. It's always just math. So I'll give you a situation where it is a good idea, and I'll give you a situation where it's kind of a bad idea, okay? So let's say that you want to build an ADU, and you have an $80,000 credit card. What? Do people have that? Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm. But the $80,000 credit card is 21% interest. What? So I borrow all $80,000, and now I owe 21% interest every month. It compounds, and the payment is ridiculous. Is that a good idea? Probably not. Okay, so now let's say I found a good HELOC, and the good HELOC was an IO for 10 years, and then after that, principal and interest for 10 more years. So a 20-year HELOC. Do they exist? Sure they do. So you borrow that same 80 grand, but your IO payment, interest only, let's just say it's at 10%, is $800 a month. You build that ADU and you rent it out. Once you build that ADU and you rent it out, it debt services. You should want to pay that HELOC back fast. But in that situation, pretty smart. It's pretty smart. So I have the choice of using a credit card for 80 grand or using a HELOC. HELOC all day long. But that's a business income generating situation. It's going to bring you back income. So is it smart? In that situation, I kind of say yeah. Let me give you a situation where it's not smart. Hey, I just saw a new Raptor. That Raptor, I got a deal on it, $86,000. Yeah, I want to buy that Raptor. I want to buy that Raptor, and I'm going to take a HELOC out to buy the Raptor. Probably not a good idea. I bought a new boat. I bought a new cigarette boat. Probably not a good idea. Oh, there's a Donzi. Oh, I love Donzi. One of my favorite boats. Donzi. Yeah, probably not a good idea. So there's reasons why HELOC's a good idea, why it's not a good idea. If you can't pay your bills, I'd say it's kind of I don't want to do it, but I have to do it. It's better than credit cards, but still not a good idea. It's better than credit cards, and you better be managing yourself so you can get yourself out of debt. So those are the situations.
All right, dude, we're going to have to wrap it here in a sec.
Really? Okay.
But if you guys want to get started with the home loan, see where you're at, talk to someone who knows their stuff, our phone number is here. Our phone number is in the bio. Our phone number is on chrisandlee.com. So if you want to get a hold of us, those are your methods. If you're ready to get a home loan, go to the link in the bio and select apply for a home loan now. It's getting busy, guys. It's really picking up. We're buried with files. We're helping a lot of people. Tony Bowles will be giving you a call in the next day or so. Anything else?
That's it. No, tune back in. We're here to help you guys. I really like to educate the population. By the way, who you work with counts. I had a situation. This will be real quick, less than a minute. I had a situation real quick where a borrower said, hey, I got this, but another lender says I can do better. And I'm like, yeah, other lenders will lie to you. They will lie to you and tell you the truth in the exact same thing. How? When they send you the disclosures, they won't disclose everything so their numbers look better. And then they'll wait till 10 days before closing to drop it on you. And when they drop it on you, you got no choice because you don't have time to switch lenders anymore and you're screwed. That happens all the time. Who you work with counts. We've been Chris and Lee. We are out.